Lay off Ellingworth on!
Come on, Mitch!
Right.
Work, Mitch!
Don't think, Mick! Don't hope, do!
You give me possession and I'll shut up!
Coaches' votes time. All righty, let's get our teeth into the game we saw live, and that was West Coast and
Why don't we just do, you go 1-1, I'll go 2-2.
Okay, 1 vote, Sonsey.
Ross, 1 vote.
2 votes, Harley Reid.
Bloston, 2.
3 votes, Hopper.
3 votes, Reid, Harley.
4 votes, Vloston.
4 votes, Hopper.
5 votes, Taranto.
Taranto gets the 10.
Yeah, nice work. All right, we weren't too far off each other right there.
No, it's a
all
worry.
righty, let's get to it's a worry. Yeah, Fremantle versus Collingwood yesterday. You can go first this time.
McQuarrie, 1.
1 vote, Luke Ryan.
Dacos, 2.
Nick.
Yep.
2 votes, McCreary.
Okay. Voss, 3.
Nick Dacos, 3.
Ryan, 4.
Sarong, 4.
Sarong, 5.
Voss, 5. I don't think you kick 6 goals and not get the
You didn't put Ryan in the votes?
Yes, I did. 1 vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I reckon he saved the game almost, really.
Yeah, he was very good.
Anyway, that's...
He was very good. So there are our coaches' votes.
we're not miles off. We'll see what they do.
Carlos, I just got to read this text out. 17th v 18th. The margin is 49 points, but we choose to move past it pretty quickly. Thoughts? I don't think anyone does, Carlos. I think we have dissected that. We believe it's going to be a big 5 weeks for the football club, and we'll know more again later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We've got the game coming up.
We certainly do.
On Simo and Goss for breakfast, Coach's Call.
18 weeks in, and we put the coaches' votes in a prime time spot. Nice work. We've just getting our mojo for this show. Thanks to Hungry Jack's, the all-new Eggs Benny, only at Hungry Jack's. Let's go all the way back. Essendon decimated with players. GWS 104, the Bombers 56.
Yeah, this is not a very interesting game, sorry. But I know what's going on with Essendon. They've just let go of their strength and conditioning coach as well. So there's just a lot of turmoil behind closed doors. And unfortunately, it's going to be a really big challenge to be positive for the next 5 weeks, even though the youth's there and that sort of stuff. And the game just did what the game did, didn't it? Really, there wasn't a lot to talk about. It was a low-pressure game. The clearances and Giants turned it on for half a quarter, really, and then the second half just petered out a little bit.
You know how we have the conversation, everyone has the conversation when Nick Martin does really well at Essendon over the last couple of years. Oh, how did West Coast let him slip, blue by blue? Yep. Essendon are going to feel that heat today because now they're all going to be talking about how they let Paddy Voss go.
Yeah, well, that happens. Sometimes they're not ready. Sometimes they're just missed, and sometimes, like even, who's a young fella at Geelong who was at the academy at West Coast? I don't remember his name now. Humphreys, yeah. They just wasn't ready and didn't jump off the page, but have a good couple of games here and there, and that's the national competition. So look, it's really tough for Essendon when you've got 25 training. I know from experience, it's hard to get better when you've got so many injuries. So,
and what do you make of the Giants? Are the Giants?
Yeah, they're coming.
They're coming.
Yep, okay. Yep. I think their mid-season, form's really turned around, and their clearance works back to where it was previously, and Callahan's so important. So, it's these Thursday night games, though, Essendon, coming up.
Yeah, hard to watch. 12-14, 86, Brisbane. The Dogs, 12-4, 76, 10 points the margin. I think that flattered the Bulldogs. They got some cheap ones late. Brisbane are a top 2 team. Yeah,
2 weeks in a row it's happened to the Bulldogs where it's close. I think the Adelaide game, there was 9 points. This one was 10 points, but, 26 shots to 16. So 10 more shots, Brisbane. So some of the numbers that we spoke earlier about Fremantle, this went the way it meant to go. Brisbane had 64 inside 50s to the Bulldogs, 44 clearances. The Doggies are good at clearances, so they've kicked 7 goals to 3. But the turnover game that Brisbane brought, and they used the corridor well, we heard Bevo talk about in his press conference, 9 goals to 4. They're the opposite to Fremantle in terms of the back six. They can't hold the fort, the Bulldogs' back six. So, good performance by Brisbane.
You need your group to be totally committed to certain aspects of the defensive contest and stoppage phases, and you can't do that inconsistently against the better sides, and we've done it inconsistently against the better sides. So I think that's the difference. Our ability to score when we've got it in the right hands has been pretty good. So we've got to keep chipping away at the defensive aspects.
They re-signed Luke Beveridge for 2 years. Are you concerned that they've done that, and if they don't make the 8, or is that not?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't live in the right now, the here and now. It's if they think Bevo's the man for the next 2 years, then I think they were hoping that, and it's not over yet. He's if anyone can get them going with a little story or. Like I mentioned earlier, there's 5 weeks to go. Let's sell some sort of belief message, because I didn't hear belief in his press conference. It was a disappointment. So he'll turn that around today, and there'll be some sort of mission, book, message, or whatever it is that will have a journey on them making the 8.
When do you start doing that as a coach? Do you do that earlier in the week, or do you do that after you've looked at that game and gone, okay, we'll park that. Now we're going to focus on this game. When do you start to try and get a theme inside your chat?
I think Bevo's probably the best at it. I've worked with Bevo for a few years at the Hawks, and I've seen him do it at different stages. Sometimes it's when you've made finals, and it's a fight. So West Coast, we did this when we made the finals, finished top 2. Right, we've got a campaign for the next 4 weeks. Then there's we need to get 4 out of the next 6 wins, 6 games to make finals. So right now, it's time.
We're doing this for Hungry Jacks. Of course, the all-new Eggs Benny only at Hungry Jacks. If you want something fancy, they've got it covered. Hawthorn down in Tassie. If ever there needs to be a stadium with a roof on it,
shocking,
it was horrendous. Wind and rain. Port Adelaide were gallant, but didn't make the most of the chances when they had the wind at their back. In the end, it was a 38-point win to the Hawks.
Yeah, look, there was a difficult game. I thought it might have been a banana peel game. I don't know who came up with that phrase. It wasn't me.
It's good. You've used it twice today.
Yeah, but they were just a bit tougher, weren't they? Plus 28 contested possessions, post-clearance. So we're talking pre-clearance is the contest before that's before the clearance. Post-clearance is around the ground. So around the grounds, they were plus 28 at ground ball. So it just tells me they handled the wet a little bit better. And, they've kicked 4 goals free from their back half and conditions like that, the Hawks. So I don't think the numbers were fantastic for Hawthorn, but they got the job done.
2 goals down at three-quarter time, North Melbourne. In the end, they lost by 5. Alistair Clarkson had this to say post-game.
Combination of fatigue and belief. The second youngest side in the competition going into this week's game. Big Teeks come in to do really the second rucking for us today behind CJ. He hasn't even been rucking at reserve grade level. So it just makes it tough. And some of it is just like you're trying different things in there. The midfielders are trying different things. Oh, this isn't working, so let's try this. You got to try different things, and some of them work, some of them don't.
So that's the North Melbourne angle.
What do we think of the North?
Oh, they've underachieved. I think they've been disappointing.
Yeah.
I think they've been disappointing.
Well, Heaney's game was the box. He's had 34 possessions, 16 contested. He had 13 clearances, 11 scoring involvements, and kicked 5 goals. So is that the best individual performance of the year?
Close to it.
Yeah.
I thought he was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah. And the clearance, what he spoke about, Teakle coming in and playing ruck when he just hasn't been playing ruck in the reserves level. So Sydney have kicked 8 goals, 5 from stoppages, which tells you there was an issue around the ball.
All righty, Carlton got home by 8 points. They'll just take the small wins, the small steps. 12-6-78 to Melbourne, 10-10-70. I want to hear from Michael Voss post-match.
Look, the story out for me is our younger guys being able to really play, almost like a trademark game. All of them were able to sort of put their skills on show, which was fantastic to see. And they've had their own points of disappointment over the last little period of time, but they've been sort of working on their game in the background, and that for me today was the absolute story.
That gets them a game clear of Melbourne and percentage.
Yeah, I can't wait this game. So this is a bit like the Fremantle game. Like Carlton, their pressure factor was 160, so poor. They lost the contested possessions by 20, post-clearance by 20, sorry. The numbers just say that they shouldn't have won this game, and they win. So Melbourne they've done this before, haven't they? Where they've got good, and this is me, coach, stats guy. The numbers suggest Melbourne should be winning a lot more games because they produce stuff like this. And I spoke about this. This is the article that got in the paper over here about where are Melbourne at this next 6 weeks. Are they setting up for next year we're having a go? Or is it, hey, we need to really look at our list and see where we're at? That's the conversation where there's still 14 premiership players in that team. And you got Cozzy Pickett coming through. He's getting better and better every week. So conversations like that will be had at Melbourne this week.
Richmond, 49-point winners, 16-9-105 to 8-8-56 over the West Coast Eagles. Andrew McQualter concerned about basic skill level.
We're working incredibly hard at it, and it's right now it's nowhere near the standard required. It was almost comical, some of the errors tonight that we made going forward, and it's tough, but we have to keep training it. We have to keep building the connection, understanding the roles and requirements from everyone, and then we'll work on the skill element as well.
What do you reckon?
Sounds like you. Sounds like you said that when
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you just talk about we can only just keep going and we're all in it together and that sort of stuff. I'd hate to be in that situation when you're trying to message to your fans and your members and your staff when you go into a game favourites, and they were pronounced favourites, and they don't set the markets. I get all that, but then to get blown away and to look so bad against the
haven't been favourites
team.
For a while.
No,
I can't remember the last time.
Whether they didn't handle it, whether they
I think there's something little there about just knowing how to win. I think he spoke about that. But the way they played, there's the other piece too. They've changed the way a little bit with the ball movement. Have you noticed they've a bit more uncontested? And I reckon when you do that, you do bring in, okay, we've got to judge our skill out of this, because if you're going to have an extra 30 marks, then you've got to have an extra 30 kicks that have got to hit the target, versus what they were doing early in the year was just the slingshot, straight line. Okay, if you held up, just embrace down the line, we'll get chaos. They've changed a little bit. So, yeah, they've probably gone backwards on the weekend in that.
They'll run off their feet. Richmond,
yeah, it's just 2 weeks. So the Giants look a bit quicker than them a few weeks ago. And on the weekend, we both noticed how quick the small forwards for the Tigers were.
Mansell is so fast.
Well, they all look the same. Quick as, and you know they've 11 shots from the back half, from Richmond's back half, which tells me defending their turnovers. And they're a young side, West Coast, and it's the hardest thing to teach is when the ball's in the air going in your forward line, can you pick up a man and defend, anticipating it might come back? And they didn't do that very well.
The Herald Sun have started in their Scott Gullen article. The tackle has, I think it might be the first time, put the heat on Ross Lyon and what he's been able to get away with in the media this year. Well, the Geelong 31-point winners, Jeremy Cameron kicked 5. Ross Lyon post-game had this to say about the Flying Viking Taru versus Jeremy Cameron.
I rate when Cameron's going the best player in Australia, right? So his ability to take opportunities. And then we had Taru on him, and he kicked 4-2 on him, mostly. And in the end we changed it, but we thought, well, you can't bite that experience, right? So you've got to go through that, and hopefully over a pre-season, he's a ripping kid, he'll learn from one of the best players in Australia.
When you turned up to WA with Freo, how long did it take to get to success? Not the ultimate, but how long before it become, the defensive profile where it was dour, but you knew, it was that was the pillar.
Yep.
How long did it take for that?
Oh, again, in regards to wins and losses and
7 rounds, 10 rounds.
Is that Duff?
He's doing something.
Yeah, well, Duff, come in. This is perfect.
Anyway,
because Duff was at the front line of that. Sort of
right,
stuff.
he just did 2 hands up and then a 2. What do you reckon that meant?
12.
Oh, 12. But when did he get here?
Might have been 2012.
Yeah.
What do you got, Duff? What do you got?
Round 12.
Oh, round 12. Come
yeah.
in closer.
Round 12 the first year, the identity of Fremantle was established.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably the question that you're asking is he's been at the Saints now for 3 years. Is it the 3rd year?
Yeah.
And what's the identity? I think that's the question. And if it's not built off defence, then what are we doing?
Can I bore you with the article that's got to go on just a couple of parts?
If you want to, I think there's a little agenda.
Yeah, right.
There's a little agenda happening here, but anyway.
Okay, heaps on the Saints.
Feel free to fill it in.
Scott Gullen says, we've had angry Ross, cuddly Ross, and maybe now there needs to be more reality Ross. And Kira 15th, a game behind Essendon and percentage clear of Richmond. They've only won 2 of their past 14. To put it into context, the Bombers have had the worst injury run in the AFL, while there was some start of the season who thought Richmond would not win. There was some at the start of the year thought Richmond wouldn't win a game. Yet Ross Lyon's genius ability to deflect away from the facts is unparalleled in the modern era. He will have stats and theories which cloud everything, then divert attention to the Gold Coast being the Nepo baby and Nick Dacos being protected species. Every week there is something, and the Saints fans deserve more than the old we know where we are routine. Well, heaven help us, we've finally got to the bottom of it.
But you know what? Ross was an exceptional... Hello, Adam. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Mark.
Ross was an exceptional coach, but I get the feeling that there have been 2 Ross careers, and that's the one up until 2015 when he was groundbreaking and cutting edge.
Yeah.
Team defence. And then everyone caught him. You guys at West Coast caught him in 2015, and Hawthorn caught him. And then other teams that had better attacks went past them. And I think in the 7 seasons since then, he's going at 38%.
Yeah.
Now, his teams haven't been as good.
You cut it back even further, the identity around the method of what he's trying to do. If it's team defence, that's what we're going to hang a hat on, and that's the standards we accept. They conceded. I mean, they played a good side, but they conceded 28 shots on the weekend from the Cats. So I'm just trying to work out what's the pillars of the system they're trying to build. Whereas McQualter, as much as they've won one game, at least we can sort of see what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
trying to work out what the Saints are trying to actually achieve on field is a challenge at the moment.
But does he struggle with offensive football?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that. I just. Sometimes I think because he's a good coach.
Yeah,
I don't think you can deny that.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So we can beat Geelong if we do this today, boys. Versus, hey, we want to play this brand. Doesn't matter who we play. So there's two different ways of coaching. I think he probably leans more on, hey, let's get a bit of strategy here and we'll win this way, and then next week we'll win a different way and then a different way. I don't know if he used to do that. It used to be, no, we're playing West Coast. We'll just beat them doing what we do. I'm not sure. So I'm not as critical as perhaps Goss might be. But there is definitely, they've won 2 out of the last 14 games. So it hasn't been a great run.
I think in fairness, Goss, you're not so much critical of him, but the way he's covered.
Correct.
In the media.
Let's just do our job. Let's report on how poor they are and where they're at. Anyway, what do you got coming up? What do you got coming? No. What do you got coming up after 8 o'clock?
Going to be talking to Scotty Waters about both clubs, and Craig O'Donoghue will give us some extra on Fremantle's win at the MCG.
Okay, looking forward.
Who's he back for?
Craig, he's an Essendon
man. Okay.
And umpires. All righty. Thank you very much. All righty. They didn't have a good day yesterday. All righty. Fremantle by a point over Collingwood. Craig McRae is concerned about whether they've lost their spark or not.
Managing those moments will be forever something we need to do. And, if the scoreboard's an indication, we haven't managed it well enough. I think we've lost 3 close games this year, one the Cats and then those 2. Have we lost our spark? Well, you'd hope not. But reality is we'll keep getting better at it. I thought last week when we went into a had-to-win-the-game phase, it looked pretty good for us. So I think that's still there. And the desperation and excitement for late in the game, you have a look at some of those contests where the ball's spilling out. I thought we did a lot of the things right. I'd argue defensively we didn't do the same. So, I'd rather learn these lessons now.
Hey, Simo, did you, and you've probably seen this, and everyone's been talking about it for a while, but I saw it yesterday for the very first time and I watched it again today. Is there the Collingwood way of trying to keep the ball alive? When Fremantle had the ball, they back off their tackles. They touch them and
didn't want to stoppage.
They don't want the stoppage. So
no, I noticed that.
Look,
if that's a strategy, I never thought about that.
For 2 minutes it happens, and they go. And what happens is the players around. So there's about 8 Collingwood players around, and Bayshaw's over the footy, and all the other players, even standing around, they all throw their arms back. Even not just the tackler, but everyone else around.
If it's deliberate, it's pretty smart.
It's
isn't it?
very clever.
Yeah. But that's 2 weeks in a row. I know he said last week looked good when they chased the game, but they lost. They chased the game, then they conceded the last 2 goals and got beaten by Gold Coast. And this week, they didn't do what they normally do. It's always tough when you dance so close to the line with these close games. So I don't say they've been worked out at all, but their 2-minute drill, that hasn't worked the last 2 weeks. It can't work every week either. So I think he said defensively was the bit that let them down. And from a Fremantle point of view, we spoke about this earlier in the show, mate, but to win with the numbers stacked so far against them was a great win for the defence of Fremantle. And I don't care about ball movement in terms of speed and that sort of stuff. End of the day, Fremantle have kicked 8 or 9 goals from the back half. So it's a pretty good performance.
Again, Collingwood aren't kicking a big score either. That's a couple of weeks in a row where they're struggling to hit the scoreboard. All righty, let's get one more game away. This was Adelaide, who, Gold Coast couldn't kick a goal till halfway through the third quarter. In the end, it was a 10-goal win to the Crows, who keeping on. Damien Hardwick, I really like this. Have a listen to this one.
Every good side I've been a part of gets a kick in the nuts at some stage. Today was our kick in the nuts. Like I said, there's some things in our game that, the scoreboard, we didn't kick very well, we didn't take our chances, and they did. sort of thing. So, as I said, you've got to take your chances when you play over it. And, we had some outstanding looks going across the arcs and we just stuffed them up. We're still a side that is learning how to win, those big games.
Yeah, I don't know. The expression's a nice one. I'm not sure if it's one for a press conference, but he says that a lot, that type of rhetoric, doesn't he? And, maybe he's right. He's got a lot of experience with successful sides. I'm not quite sure if they're a good team yet, and they should be. But they've got some important games coming up, so we'll find out a lot more about them soon. He's right about the numbers, though. They've had 6 more inside 50s, Goss. And at half-time, it was 50 to 4 points. So... yeah, that wasn't a standard type of game where, if you match them in, the contest, the clearances, the turnover game, and you haven't kicked the goal until halfway through the third quarter, there's something that's not quite right on the day. I'm not quite sure if they're a good side just yet. So who have they got next week? It's a good question with that note. They got Brisbane. Now, is it if they lose by 50 points next week, is that another kick in the nuts? I mean, how many kicks in the nuts do you get before it's a worry for finals? So that'll be a great sign of maturity if they can respond this week, in probably the biggest game, the biggest derby or whatever you call it up there. What's it called?
Q Clash.
The Q Clash. They said the one earlier in the year was the biggest one. This is the biggest one.
This is when coaches say something post-game and Simo says, I'm not so sure exactly what they were saying. But anyway, he tries to decipher it. Craig McRae. This is interesting. So I did hear this on the chat in, where the Kane Corns thought he didn't like it. Kingy thought he liked it. Coaches talking about other teams' styles. Have a listen.
In our eyes, we thought Fremantle were really, really good when they needed to. When they needed to get the job done, they really came hard. They play a good brand of footy when they're up and going fast, isn't it? Like, maybe they should play a bit more of that at times. It's a good version of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you think he's a good loser?
I don't think we've seen Fly. There's something there about. I think he really, really, like all of us, passionately wants to win, and how you handle the losses sometimes can. There's something there, isn't it?
It strikes me as a little bit patronising.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it, but there's. I think all of us have something there where it's. You just don't want to accept it, and then there's a backhander somewhere inadvertently. It's this I'll go down swinging type of attitude, and he hasn't gone through the bad times as a senior coach just yet. I mean, they didn't play finals last year, but the challenge comes when you do have lots of losses, and then how you respond. What was he trying to say in that particular line? I'm not quite sure if he meant it or not, but if he did mean it. I'm not quite sure I would have liked that if I would have been Fremantle.
Okay, let's go back to June 15. This was quarter time. Kath Loughnan speaking to Andrew McQualter. This was the Carlton game.
Andrew, what was the gist of your quarter time message?
We were pathetic in the contest.
Do you want them to... What else did you have to say? Did you give them a bit of a bake? Did you try to implement a bit of composure amongst the boys?
Yeah, simply we've got to bounce back from that. So we've got an idea around the method they've got around the ball, and we're just collapsing on it. We're not getting it done with the ball.
All righty, so that was him. So pathetic. That was pathetic. That was hardcore. This was him post-game on the weekend.
You look at that first quarter tonight, and it was a pretty dominant quarter of football. We go down quarter time down on the scoreboard. And I just think it's hurting deep in the souls of our players when that happens a little bit. It's a tricky position that we're in, that we're showing signs of we are getting better and we're playing some good football, but we're not getting reward for that.
Yeah, well, it's probably more, what's happened with this season. It's gone from really angry and the players that would have copped it, didn't they? Obviously, pathetic is a pretty strong word. To now, there's a bit more empathy for trying to get the best out of this group and keep them positive, because I think the bullets have been fired now. And it's okay, we are where we are, and the only way we're going to get through this is through it together. And when you mention the word soul, so the pathetic, and then there's soul, and there's different games, obviously, but this game could have come out and said the same thing. That third quarter was pathetic, but I think it's a different phase now they're in, where it's lots of work to do, and I know what it feels like, and I know where they're at internally, trying to keep everyone buoyant and upbeat so they can finish the year off with some positivity and going for the big cook right now is probably not the best move to make.
Dave from Redlands, I think you've nailed it. Gents, Fly hasn't done his oppo lately, obviously. Freo been playing like that for 10 weeks.
I think they're in good form. And, yeah, like I said, I don't think ball movement and speed, I think it's an overrated particular statement to make. I think the fact they're winning and they're starting to win differently, Goss, that is the biggest change that Fremantle brought.